Hello and welcome back to KXAN Plus. I am your host, Esmeralda Zamora, here in our brand new KXAN Plus studio with our Simple Health segment. We do these every Monday. We're back in the groove of doing them moving forward. And with me to do this is our Simple Health expert, Jose Torres.
Mhm.
Jose, thanks for joining me. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. I like this new setup that you have here.
Yeah, it's been a while since we've done a Simple Health show, but we're back and we're kicking through it. We have new graphics. We just saw that new open. It looks amazing, right?
Yeah, it looks great. The colors are great. I like this new logo here behind me. That looks
Yeah,
good.
bringing in the Simple Health vibes. Well, before we begin, I do like to always ask you, Jose, to share with our viewers what Simple Health is and why we focus on Simple Health here at KXAN.
Yeah, I think sometimes we overcomplicate things like fitness. What are the proper workouts and how much time should you spend working out, or nutrition. What's good for you, and maybe what you should avoid. And same thing with treatments and research. Sometimes all of that can be complicated and overwhelming. And so here at KXAN Simple Health, we try to simplify that for you and empower you with information.
Yes, and it's always important to stay aware of what is happening in the health world, and that's something that me and Jose do, always bringing up topics like today's topic into the light so everyone can hear what it is and be aware of it when they're out living their daily lives. Jose, our topic for today, I'm not going to pronounce this word because I am going to butcher it, but
Yeah.
it's a something that affects mostly athletes, right?
Yes, this is a story, like you said, about a condition that mainly affects athletes, but it could happen to you and me as well. It's rare, but it can happen. It's called Paget-Schroetter syndrome, and it happens basically to athletes who overuse the same muscles. So think of like baseball or swimming, where you're always using the same upper arm movements. Um, so it can cause blood clots, and sometimes you can discoloration on your arms as well if you leave it untreated. And it can leave people with an uncomfortable feeling and discomfort if you don't take care of it. So I spoke with a 28-year-old man who developed this, and he was caught off guard when he noticed his arm turn bluish and purplish. Take a look at his story.
We have a story here. I'll play that right now.
I bleed orange. It's my life. I watch every UT sport: baseball, basketball, football, tennis, soccer, everything. It doesn't matter. I was in really good shape. But since this has happened, obviously there's been a lot of setbacks. Sometimes even just walking will cause my arms to turn purple. My name is Anthony Shanklapuri. I'm 28 years old and I have Paget-Schroetter disease. So I was actually sitting over here on the couch with Mom. I stood up and she saw it and she was like, "Anthony, your arm is like visibly purple." Well, over the next month, it just got worse and worse and worse, to the point where like my chest was literally swelling. My left pectoral right here, it was like twice the size of this side. So I finally got referred to Dr. Jeffrey Apple, and he evaluated me. He was like, you need surgery. So we performed what's called a first rib resection. When you have your first rib removed, and as well as I had scalene muscles removed from this part of my neck. Your body has to compensate for that loss using other muscles. But unfortunately, I developed the same condition now on this side. You see how like on this side it's a little bit more purplish. This side's white. But this will get so blue, whereas this side is white. And it's like, whoa, it's crazy. The arms look totally different. So pretty scary. Paget-Schroetter disease. I would like to conduct more research on this condition. I'm planning on starting my PhD soon. I'd really like to study like vascular compression syndromes, particularly in people my age. Just because you're in your 20s doesn't mean, you're immune from everything. Like, make sure you're listening to your body. It was like a year ago when it was so painful that I couldn't do practically anything. Like, I was in bed a lot. Now I'm pretty active. Man, I have full range of motion now. Like, I can lift my arm up to the side.
Wow, Anthony is very young to be going through something like this. He mentioned there a little bit in the story that we were watching that he now is suffering from the same disease on his other arm. Does he know why? Did he mention why?
So right now, he and his doctor are trying to figure out why that happened because he was dealing first with his left arm, dealing with all that uncomfortableness and the blood clot, and they got that treated, they got surgery done, and then now he's dealing with the same condition on the right arm. He doesn't know exactly why. Like I said, he and his doctor are trying to figure that out. But he plans on having surgery this summer to hopefully get rid of this condition he has now on his right arm.
And Anthony, I mean, you spoke with Anthony's doctor. To be completely clear, I was not aware of this type of stuff that he's going through. This syndrome, I didn't know about it. I'm sure a lot of people don't know about it. Is this rare? Did his doctor say that it is something really rare, or is it common amongst people?
Yeah, I never heard of this either, so I thought this would be a good opportunity to talk about Paget-Schroetter syndrome. Apparently, also, oh gosh, I'm going to butcher his name, but he's a well-known Spurs player, and I'm not even going to attempt to say his name, but he suffered from the same condition, and he's a basketball player, so he's always using the same muscles over and over again, which is why this condition can develop. But Dr. Jeffrey Apple, he is Anthony's doctor, and Dr. Apple, he works at St. David's North Austin Medical Center. He's a vascular surgeon. He obviously, for him, it's not rare, but for us here in the outside of the medical industry, it is a rare condition. And it, like I said, it mainly affects athletes who play baseball, softball, wrestling, swimming, martial arts, and even CrossFit athletes, because you're with the barbell doing the same movements over and over again.
Yeah.
But posture also plays a big role, according to Dr. Apple. One example, he says, like, when you're on your phone and you're doing this a lot.
Or on the computer and you're doing this.
Exactly. So, you're kind of hunched over instead of, having a proper posture. So he says that's another reason why you and me could potentially develop this syndrome. And here's more from Dr. Apple.
Will most people get a block on their arm? No, but that posture that we use when we're looking at our cell phone or sitting at a computer, your shoulders are slumped forward and your head and neck are kind of tilted forward. All those collapse the thoracic outlet and can lead to, unfortunately, Paget-Schroetter, not really Paget-Schroetter syndrome, but thoracic outlet syndrome. So on those patients like Anthony and others, we talk to them about good posture, limiting their cell phone use, and then giving them some basic band work and strengthening to correct that. Pretty simple stuff, but yeah, a lot of it is occupational, unfortunately, just too much hunched over looking at a computer and a phone.
Yeah, he touched on exactly what you said, the phone, the arching your back when you're looking over your phone. Aside from posture, is there anything else that patients can look out for when they think that they may be suffering from this too?
Yes. Main thing he says is just listen to your body. Things to look out for is swelling on your arm, pain and discomfort, and especially discoloration. Well, that's going to be a big eye opener for you to definitely look for. And when he was talking about posture, at the time I was doing that Zoom interview, I was like this.
And you check your posture right away,
yeah.
right?
And then, as soon as he said that, I'm like, oh gosh. So it was a good reminder. But I was curious about whether people who live sedentary lives, I was wondering if they are also potentially impacted by, or I'm sorry, if they could potentially develop the same condition. And Dr. Apple explained to me why that is not the case.
Paget-Schroetter it's what you would call an overuse syndrome. Usually it'll be seen in athletes who are throwing too much, swimming too much overhead weightlifting. When you think of blood clots and people who are sedentary, That usually involves the lower extremities. People who take long plane flights, sit too much, the blood gets stagnant in their leg veins and will clot. But Paget-Schroetter is just the opposite. It's people who use their arms too much in a repetitive motion, and they will clot the arm veins off and develop swelling, etc.
That is interesting because you're thinking if you're fit and you're staying active and you're moving, your blood flow is going through your body at a much better pace.
That's right. That's right. Veins are a little bit different than our other half of the circulation, arteries. Arteries are the thicker, more muscular blood vessels that come directly out of the heart. They pump oxygenated blood everywhere. They're more prone to injury from smoking, from diabetes, high blood pressure. Veins are just kind of the forgotten, cousin of the arteries. They carry blood back to the heart, but the lining of the veins can be affected by repetitive trauma. So that's why we see them more in our young athletes, where they just have done too much of whatever sport they're in, usually a throwing motion, and it damages the internal lining of that vein and it clots.
You said, listen to your body. What other things should they look out for?
The first thing I tell people, if your arm or hand don't feel right, swelling of the hand, forearm, discoloration, usually it'll be turning blue or kind of maybe a mild purple color. That's just venous congestion. Tingling, numbness in the fourth and fifth finger is usually what I see. Or a heavy arm. That's a common first symptom. The athletes are usually pretty in tune with their bodies, so they'll know something's off usually. And if they have the ability, they'll usually let somebody know. But it can be subtle, so sometimes we miss it the first couple of go-arounds. That's normal. But those are the symptoms: swelling, pain, discoloration.
Well, those are the symptoms. He explained them right there. He also mentioned that this often happens amongst athletes because they're always doing the same motion with either the same arm or with both arms, or maybe it's their leg. But we heard from Anthony earlier in the stream, and he mentioned something about getting surgery. Jose, I wanted to ask you, at what point is it where you have to make that decision that you need to have that surgery? And what happens if you go untreated and decide not to either see a doctor or have that surgery?
Dr. Apple recommends surgery right away for once it's diagnosed for competitive athletes. In Anthony's case, he told me he would go to the gym and he was fit, lift weights. So for non-athletes like Anthony and you and me, Dr. Apple says if removing the blood clot doesn't work and physical therapy does not work, then they go to the surgery route. And if it's not treated, well, then that individual is just going to have to go through a period of swollen and uncomfortable arm and for a very, very long time.
And often discoloration, right?
Yeah, you don't want to be living through life with that.
Yeah, and when Anthony was talking about looking at his hands and how one clearly looked different from the other, that's kind of a scary thing to notice on your body. And the doctor mentioned athletes are completely aware of their body most of the time, but everyday people who are either on the computer or maybe they type a lot or they use their hand at work for certain reasons, they may not be in tune with their bodies as athletes are, right?
Right. So that's why it's important to listen to every little thing that your body is trying to tell you. So, anything you notice that is out of the ordinary, you might think it might be just something random. It could be, but, keep a little log of on your phone, maybe of, on Monday I felt this, and then on Tuesday, I felt the same thing, or maybe it got worse. Anthony told me that the day where his whole arm was changed in color. He had just finished I believe like a 60 or 70 hour work week. So he was, on his desk like this for several hours every day. And then at the end of that work week is when he noticed those changes in his arm.
Yeah, so it can happen pretty quickly or it can develop over time. So it's important, like you mentioned, to listen to your bodies, be aware of any changes, and make sure you seek medical attention if you do see anything differently happening with your body. Jose, thank you for sharing this story. I think this is an important one. This is a topic that not many people talk about, but it's out there and it's important to be aware and know the signs and symptoms. If you could share anything that you learned throughout this reporting that we haven't already spoke about, what would you share?
Well, I thought it was really interesting that they had to remove the first rib. And when I first heard about like the rib, I was thinking automatically about the lower part of your body. But there, if you saw a part of that story,
He was pointing at his neck.
your first rib is like somewhere around here, and they removed that rib to give this part of your body some extra breathing space, so there's no blood pooling, no blood clots, and that there could be a better blood flow and help your that arm recover. So I thought that was really interesting that you have. That's what the surgery entails, is just removing that first rib, and I thought that was very interesting. And shout out again to Anthony. He told me that he wants to use this experience to work on his PhD and then hopefully work for the CDC. He wants to work for the Epidemic Intelligence Service Office. And
That's awesome.
yeah, and what they do is they help investigate outbreaks and respond to public health challenges. So, kudos to Anthony and his future meeting his future goals. Yeah.
Yeah, good luck to Anthony. We hope that you make all your dreams come true and don't let this little obstacle or bump on the road stop you from accomplishing those dreams. Jose, thank you so much again for sharing this story with us. If anyone is interested in watching more segments like this one and or other exclusive content, that we have all of that on our KXAN Plus streaming app. You can find that on Roku TV, Apple TV, and even Fire Stick TV. Thanks so much for joining us.